The final round here, okay? And what we'll do is we'll also give you some time for some Q&A. Okay, do you have any questions or anything? I know my wife's talking with the secretaries right now. But back to this part about paperwork, presentation, and publicity. Okay, one of the things that'll help you with the award time that I encourage directors to do is if you look at this picture right here, here's the director, okay, and this table's laid out to where at the table those award request forms. So the youngest, let's say 4-year-old, then a 5-year-old, right? Then the first grade, the servants, you get into all that. All those award request forms that were filled out beginning of the night, they're all sitting there in order, and the secretary has placed those badges or those awards on top of that request form. So what happens is, this one table, I can stand there as a director and say, okay, now it's time for a Little Lambs Awards. And I'll call on Mrs. DeHaven, come over here. So she comes up, she grabs the awards, I grab the paper that has the list of kids on there who's earning what award. So as the director, I go ahead and call out, earning the Gray Squirrel Badge, Sarah, Bobby, Joey, and Little Lamb. And here they all come. And so what happens while I'm calling them out, Mrs. DeHaven is the one handing out the awards to the boys and girls. And again, in a big room like this, let's say, and as many kids together as possible, there's a lot of positive peer pressure. Does that make sense? The kids are watching all of this and seeing what's happening. And I encourage all of us to clap for these kids and to be excited about what they're doing. You know, I told Brother Van Hamen about sports a little bit and everything. And that, listen, I'm all for all that. I used to coach myself. And there's everything right with applauding a good effort, right? And that in the sports world, we do that. But man, how much more so for things that last for eternity with these little kids and what they're doing? Man, that's just great. So we just go up through the ages, all the way up to 6th grade. You say, what does this provide? Well, I really think that in addition to what we're doing with all the kids all at the same time, when the parents can see that, it really shows the parents that, hey, there's something going on here with the group at large. As a director, it always helped me because very, very quickly, each night when I'm calling out the names of the kids to earn their awards or whatever they've done, I can get a good snapshot very, very quickly as a director of the entire Master Clubs program because I know what everybody's accomplishing, right? I can quickly see if there's kids lagging behind or if there's a group that's been 3-4 weeks. No one's gotten an award for anything, right? Something somewhere. I need to help somebody out as a director. I need to find out what's going on. That's a really, really big help there, okay? Now, as we said before, each year we have regional competitions, and this is a big deal with the kids. This year it's going to be at Indianapolis again, okay? And we're going to have a good time with that. I think, Andrew, you're probably the one in the room that hasn't been to a regionals to see it yet, have you? Oh, man, you're missing out. You guys, I think, Andrew, where you guys are located, I think it was easier for you guys to go to Beckley, West Virginia. It's actually Beaver. It's just like a small little township next to Beckley. And really, to be honest with you, it's a little bit more easily managed. There's a little smaller crowd. I think there's only like 11, 12 churches or so, like 10 churches. So usually when Indianapolis is big. This year it wasn't as big as it normally is or can be. But anyway, we have a separate session that we do at the Loving and Leading Conference. I know you guys, I didn't say anything about it, I don't think yet. But anybody get one of those brochures yet? All right, let me go ahead and hand these out to you, okay? I want to make sure everybody gets one of these. You got one? Did you guys get one? I did. Okay, we'll make sure you guys get one, okay? And for your daughter, too.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? Every year, the first full weekend in November, um, our church hosts what's called the Loving and Leading Conference. Now, there's a separate website of master clubs, or I guess I say from master clubs, called lovingandleading.org. And the nature of this meeting is so large, it'd be too much to put onto the master club's website. Now, this meeting is not a master club's quote-unquote meeting. However, there are 9 to 10 hours worth of master club's training at this meeting. So in other words, what we would do, we would spend and give you a 50-minute workshop on how to get your club prepared for regionals. How would you do that with your staff, your schedule, your kids, what you need to concentrate on, what you need to do, that kind of thing. This meeting here for Loving and Leading lasts 3 days. Starts on Thursday, and I think registration at 11 o'clock. We'll start the first general session, which is a preaching session at 1. We'll go in for a couple of workshop hours. Then we'll have supper there on the property. Then we'll have the church service that night. So over 3 days, you have 9 hours, or I guess I should say 9 classes to choose from over 3 days. So we don't like kill you with the schedule, okay? And then we also have some good times where there's 5 different general sessions, and that's our preaching hour. That's our preaching time that we have in the church auditorium. If you want to get an idea about what the sessions are like, and you want to know what the preaching's like what's the flavor of this meeting? If I go to this meeting, what am I going to get out of this conference? We have archived the workshops and the preaching sessions that we've had in the past. We've saved them on our website. If you go to the lovingandleading.org page, you look in our recordings, our page that says recordings. You can go through, I think, the last 3 or 4 years. There's now over 100 different videos on there. That would be a tremendous help to you. There's no charge. It's all free. You're more than welcome to take a look at that. And the good thing about it is every year the meeting is very fresh. Every year there's new speakers, both men and women, with different sessions and workshops. We don't have the same thing every year, okay? And if that makes sense. So we're trying to be a help to you in that regard. And I want to encourage you to consider coming to this meeting that we have there at Milford, okay? And of course, Milford's just about a little bit less than 2 hours from here. Not much, but just a little bit less than 2 hours. And we'd love to have you this year, okay? All right, any questions over what we've covered today? We've done very well. Maybe you have a question on something in master clubs or something going on in your club that you had a question about? Maybe something I covered today? Brother John, how about you? You have any questions back there, sir? Right.
But we don't have enough to separate them in the classroom. So how do we go about, having different books and trying to...
All right, sure. And just for those who are watching or those who are watching the recording, he's asking a question about moving away from a current plan of what the church has now. So, Brother John, who's combined right now? Who do you have combined right now? All right, so the ambassador are combined, and which book are you using for the ambassadors?
Last year we used bronze, so I guess moving into silver.
All right, so are you going to keep that same thing with your 4th, 5th, and 6th grade and just move into the next book, silver?
I think we can.
Okay. Yeah, I would encourage that. I would encourage that. My wife touched on that just a little bit about the design of the books. The bronze, silver, and gold are written on a mid-year 4th grade kind of idea. So you can keep all those kids together, and then as you go through each year, successive year, you would go ahead and switch the books, especially since those books do not even say what grade technically that they're for, if that makes sense. Okay. Now the difference is going to be with their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade books, and she's got the 1st grade book over here, the 2nd grade book, and the 3rd grade. If you take a good look at these books and compare them, you're going to find that the third grade book is thicker than either the first, it's longer than first or second grade book. The reason for that is because what we're trying to do with the third grade is get the kids, especially when you get to February or so, get the kids prepared to be an ambassador. So some of the stuff they're working on at home is going to include devotions. It's going to include some of the types of projects that the kids who are in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade are already in. And not the same projects, don't misunderstand me, but the same types of projects as far as content, okay? That gets them prepared. So if your church is in a situation right now where you're combined, okay, one of the things that we really tell you to do as much as you can with 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade is to keep them separated. Now, there are some reasons for that. I just mentioned about the 3rd grade and the quantity, okay? The second reason would be because of aptitude. So what Brother John's asking about is something that the church sees and wants to move away from of this combination, and you want to move into an idea where you've got those kids in each particular grade, okay? If you think with me about children in that age group, a 1st grader who's just come out of kindergarten and starting the fall in 1st grade, okay, is very, very different in their learning than that 3rd grader who's in mid-year, or much less towards the end of the year. I mean, it's those 3 age groups, there's so much difference in what they've learned and what they can take on as far as memorization, vocabulary, all those kinds of things. I would say to you, Brother John, that the best thing to do is go ahead and have, according to your kids, a dedicated 1st grade and a dedicated 2nd grade for right now. If you have 3rd graders, right, I'd imagine that by at this time they've never been in the 3rd grade book, which is, okay, the soldier's book. They don't know that exists. Go ahead and put them with the 2nd graders. Does that make sense? So that you at least have 2 separate classes. But if you can go ahead and get your earliest squared away to where they're just 1st graders this year, and then have 2nd and 3rd and just use the 2nd grade book. That's the best way to approach it, okay? Now, I know what that means, though. I know what that means is that, well, then I'm going to have kids that, are going to finish their 3rd grade academic year at school, and what's going to happen to them is because of this scenario, they're going to go right into 4th grade in the books. They should be fine. They should be fine. If there's some projects or things you want them to do over the summertime, you could look at some of the things in the 3rd grade book and maybe make copies of that and get that to them over summer next year. That's fine. You could do something like that. You're more than welcome to. But I think that's the best way to handle that. Okay? What's your worker base right now like? What's it? I mean, I don't have a list of your assignments, but do you have 4-year-old and 5-year-old combined right now, or is it 2 separate classes?
Yes, so we have 4 and 5 combined.
Okay.
And then we had 1st through 3rd, and 4th through 6th.
Okay. So what that essentially means, what you're telling me is that last year, okay, you had 3 separate teachers of workbook time, right? Right? Okay. Yeah, I would highly recommend you go ahead and add a 4th, plan on adding a 4th this fall, somehow, some way, and get yourself the 4 and 5-year-olds, right? Continue that. 1st grade, that's your servants, but your stewards would represent for you not just your 2nd grade, but also your 3rd graders. Okay? And then have those 2 classes in the primary department, and then have the 1 class for 4th, 5th, and 6th grade all combined, like you have, and just go under the silver book. Okay? How are you guys doing at Troy? You guys okay with what you got going on?
Yeah, we're actually splitting some of the classes for this coming year.
Oh, are you? Okay, well, great. That's good news. Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But it's
Well, then you guys get up here and teach all this. You guys, we don't need me here. Fine, I'm just joking. No, it's fine. Okay. You guys have any questions? No, everything good? Andrew, how about you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing
It's like drinking water from a fire hose here, just a bunch of stuff all in one day. Yeah, it's a lot. It covers a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you guys know what you're doing. You guys are pretty good, aren't you?
This is our first time.
You're your first year, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You just act like you know what you guys look like you know what you're doing. Okay, well, great. No, that's great. That's exciting. Wonderful. Well, hopefully it's a help to you, right?
Yes.
And you got some things going to help you anyway. You got to take away today. Great. Okay. Well, listen, guys, what I've got on the table up here, my business card's up here. Okay? And my email address is on there and everything else. We help a lot of churches. And I mean several hundred churches a year. And folks contact me all the time. I know I give you the horror stories about people want to fight with me about the doctrine of baptism. I handle those calls, okay? But I also handle the good calls about what's going on in master clubs in your churches and everything else, and different ways that we can help you and whatever we can do. I will say this: if you've been with master clubs any length of time, you've watched our website has changed. We've improved that to where it's a whole lot easier to navigate through and find what you need. Have you guys noticed that at all at Troy? Have you guys been on our website?
My daughter does that, I know.
Yeah. Okay. And Andrew, you're still pretty new, so you've probably not seen much of it. Yeah, but there's a whole lot more that you've probably heard the word free here a lot today. Okay. We've added a lot more for free. We're trying to put more stuff on there that people can get their fingertips on and try to use it. If it's printing something off, it's getting something from us, and we love being a help to you. Okay. All right. Any other questions before we pray? Yeah, very good. Sure. Yes. Well, thank Brother John over there. He called me up early in the year, which I told him was very smart because our schedule fills up very dramatically, and I can't fill all our requests. So it's just the way that it goes. But he said, "Man, we got to get you here, and is this day okay?" And I showed him some dates, and everything worked out great. So we're glad that we could be here today. Okay, and you guys find out my wife's the brains behind the whole outfit. She knows it all anyway. I just kind of follow her around. But I am thankful she could come today because normally she can't. And normally it's just me. But anyway. All right, well, let's have a word of prayer. And if you guys want to look at anything,